coming up on today's show, we have some massive injury updates here on your Philadelphia 76ers that we have Sixers fans have been waiting to hear. I'm telling you, this is some great news as it pertains to your 76ers. Real quick, though, before we get into that, if you missed yesterday's show, I gave you an update on the latest All-Star voting fan returns, the second fan voting results we have gotten in this cycle. Tyrese Maxey was second in the Eastern Conference across all players in the East in total All-Star votes, but he has now fallen to third, right behind Jalen Brunson. Still getting a ton of votes, and it's great to see all the support for our Tyrese Maxey, but I want him to get above Jalen Brunson. Shoot, I want him to get above Giannis and be the number one vote getter out in the Eastern Conference to ensure he will be a starter in this year's All-Star game because he deserves it. I was having a little sit-down, little conversation with Adam Silver, commissioner of the NBA, and I told him, look, if we can get to 250 likes on today's show, can that get Tyrese Maxey to be a starter in the All-Star game? He said, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can get there, but if you can, sure, why not? So let's help get Maxey in the All-Star game and help him start in the All-Star game. Every like on today's show is one vote for Maxey. And of course, go over to NBA.com and vote for Maxey in the official All-Star voting as well. All right, let's get into that injury news, which this morning was positive and music to Sixers fans' ears. And then it got even better just about an hour ago. The Sixers' latest injury report today on Wednesday, heading into this matchup against the Washington Wizards. Trendon Watford, Kelly Oubre, Joel Embiid, all listed as probable. And really of note here is Watford and Oubre. Of course, both of them have missed a significant chunk of the season, really the last couple of months, dealing with their respective injuries. So this is huge to see that they are both expected to play going into tonight's matchup. Meaning the Sixers could be fully healthy for the first time all season and really the first time in a couple of years where they have their entire roster available and healthy to play in at least some capacity. Now, we'll see, being listed as probable, I imagine Watford and Oubre will be good to go. If not, it'd be a surprise, but they would definitely be ready for Friday. But fully expect them to play in tonight's game, at least in some capacity. Could have some kind of a minutes restriction, obviously coming off injuries being out for so long. But just having the full roster finally available, and especially getting these two guys back in Oubre and Watford, who make big impacts on this Sixers squad. Kelly Oubre was really enjoying a career year offensively before going down after those first 12 games of the season. Was playing a big role for the Sixers on both sides of the ball when he was playing because Paul George had not come back from injury yet before Oubre got injured. He was probably the Sixers' best two-way player at the time. He was shooting the ball lights out. Now it dipped a little bit in his last couple of games before injury, but putting up nearly 17 points a game and, with his athleticism, how hard he's always playing, the tenacity on both ends of the floor, being able to make smart choices on offense this year too, which sometimes has been a problem for Kelly Oubre. Really love what I had seen from him. So getting Kelly back is going to be a big boost to this team across multiple facets, right? Not just defensively, where he's really going to make his impact, but offensively as well, right? Making those smart cuts. Sixers need other guys that can contribute on the offensive side of the ball, especially at that forward spot. We'll take a look at some of those numbers coming up in just a moment. But when I mentioned it was a career year for Kelly Oubre, you look across the board at his season this year. And of course, just 12 games. It is a small sample size, but Oubre was posting career highs in effective field goal percentage, which weighs 3-point shots more heavily than 2-point shots. Field goal percentage at the rim, 76%. Oubre shot at the rim this season. That is just insane, right? And we know his ability to get inside the paint, put the little push shot right inside that restricted area. He was shooting 52% from the mid-range, 44% in the corner from three, a career high, and the most efficient year of his career. PSA needs points per shot attempt, 1.21. That is a tremendous number. That means he's being very efficient when he is shooting the basketball. If they can get this Kelly Oubre, when he does return, he can continue to play like this, the Sixers team, which already has been playing better as of late, just becomes that much more of a threat in the Eastern Conference. And that's before we even talk about the re-addition and reintegration of Trendon Watford, whose numbers might not look like anything special on the surface, but the skill set Watford brings at his size, 6'8", 6'9", at that 4, that power forward position, with a different skill set than really anybody else at that position on this Sixers roster. The ability to handle the ball, to make great passes, to run the pick and roll as the ball handler, just give opposing defenses a different look from a guy with his size, with his skill set, was also shooting well from three, 38.9%, the best in a few years for Trendon Watford. So getting him back as well is going to be a big boost. And the Sixers have played a lot better this year when Watford is on the floor versus when he's been off. Now, obviously, again, similar to Oubre, it's a smaller sample size with Watford on the floor because he was hurt to start the year, then came back, played a little bit, then got hurt again, was dealing with a hamstring injury to start the season. But the on-off numbers for Watford, they tell a story. When Watford is on the floor, the Sixers are 2.7 points better per 100 possessions. That's what net rating is. They have a plus 2.7 net rating when Watford is on the floor compared to when he's off. And their offense is 2.9 points better when he's on the floor compared to when he is off. So clearly making an impact on this team when he's out there, even if it is in limited minutes. I think what he's able to bring offensively with, again, his ball handling ability, his passing, vision, playmaking ability, opens up the offense so much more, just helps guys get open shots, which of course is uber important. And I mentioned the scoring, or really lack thereof, from the Sixers forwards this season. Kelly Oubre leading all Sixers forwards in scoring this year at 16.8 points per game. Then you have Paul George in there at 15.9. Then Watford with his 8.9. You know, Dominic Barlow does a lot of other little things, and I love what Barlow does, but not going to really fill up the stat sheet in terms of points. And then Justin Edwards is the next highest forward in terms of scoring for Philadelphia this season. He barely plays. He's been very inconsistent when he has. So it's been a lot of pressure on these Sixers guards, and then Joel Embiid when he plays to score the basketball, in large part because Paul George hasn't quite been the player you were hoping he was going to be. So you're getting two guys back that add to that offensive tool belt that Nick Nurse can dive into from that forward spot to take the pressure off a little bit from somebody, like a Maxey and an Edgecombe, where it seems like every night, if Maxey and VJ aren't saving the day at the end of the games, especially if Embiid's turning it over a little bit more like he did in that Nuggets game, it's very, very difficult for this team to find ways to score in crunch time and clutch situations. And hopefully with them back now, you're able to see that offense loosen up a little bit, right? Not play as tight late in games and find ways to win some of these closer games that, something like happened in the Nuggets game where they were not able to. If you're excited to see the Sixers back at full strength for the first time all season, go ahead, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, let me know you are ready to see this team at their fullest of potentials. Now, with these guys coming back, of course, there is a very important question to be asked. What does the starting lineup look like? Maybe not tonight, because I imagine, at least for tonight, Kelly Oubre, Trendon Watford will be eased into things a little bit. I'd be surprised if either of them are inserted into the starting lineup. But once you are back fully healthy, maybe a couple of games in, does Kelly Oubre reinsert himself into the starting lineup, or if the Sixers found something else that works? We'll debate what the starting five should look like for Philadelphia here in just a moment. Real quick before we do, there's a huge sale going down over with our friends at Fanatics on a bunch of different styles of Sixers hats. I'm showing you a few different options on screen right now, but there's way more options than just what I'm showing you here. These are just some of the top sellers. You can get 20, 30, 50+% off a lot of these hats if you use the link right below me, chatsports.com/76hat sale. Again, chatsports.com/76hat sale. That'll be in the comments and description of today's show. A lot of these hats are popular items, and they're selling out fast. So go take advantage while you still can. Again, upwards of 50% off on some of these items. All right, so let's get back now and round out today's show with this. What should the starting lineup look like when Oubre and Watford do return? Coming into the season, I think the Sixers' ideal starting lineup, considering everybody was healthy, was Maxey, VJ, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, and Joel Embiid. But obviously, things did not work out that way. We haven't even seen those 5 players be healthy at the same time. So let's debate, should Kelly Oubre start? Maybe bring someone else off the bench. So the Sixers' current starting unit prior to Oubre and Watford returning has been as such: Maxey, VJ, Paul George, Dominic Barlow, Joel Embiid. It's been a pretty successful starting unit, even if they still haven't played all that many minutes together. When this unit starts games, generally the Sixers put themselves in a good position, and these guys, their skill sets complement each other. In particular, Dominic Barlow has really been a revelation for the Sixers this season. Now, that unit, despite being the Sixers starting 5 for a good chunk of the year, has only played 78 minutes together. But when they have played together, they have a positive net rating of plus 2.3. You'd love to see that out of your starting group. So when they are playing together, they are playing well, they are outscoring their opponents, and they're able to build some leads early on in games. And so that's what the Sixers have been running. I think the lineup has been successful for the most part. But do you maybe want to see Kelly Oubre get reinserted back into the starting lineup, given that really his whole time in Philadelphia, he has been a starter? Well, there's a couple options you have if you want to put Oubre back in that lineup. I think Maxey, VJ, and Embiid pretty clearly locks to be in that starting lineup, considering if everybody is healthy. So could you maybe consider benching Paul George? In this case, you would insert Kelly Oubre for PG, and then you would still have Dominic Barlow at that 5 spot. We have seen a little bit of this lineup out there so far this season, but it really has not been that successful. This lineup has a -7 net rating across just 18 minutes, so a small sample size that we've seen those 5 out there on the floor, but when we have, it hasn't been very successful. The other option, of course, because I don't really think it's all that realistic, the Sixers, to straight up bench Paul George, given how much money he's making, and still does make a very good defensive impact for this team when he is out there. You can go to the lineup that we have not seen yet this season. And that lineup is as follows: Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, Joel Embiid. Funny enough, I think this was probably your starting lineup heading into the season. But because of injuries to Kelly Oubre and Paul George, we have not yet seen this lineup this season. That being said, I don't think you can bench Dominic Barlow at this point. So I think for the remainder of the season, even when everybody's back healthy, Kelly Oubre comes off the bench. Now, he can still close games, and depending on certain matchups, of course, he's still going to play a ton of minutes, right? I'm not saying we're benching Oubre and he's not going to be in the rotation, right? He's still going to play a significant role for this team. But I think with what Barlow provides you, you let him rock in the starting lineup. He's been great when he's next to Joel Embiid. You let Oubre come off the bench. Paul George still that great defender, and you can use Kelly Oubre's energy off the bench to insert him in moments later into the first quarter with the second unit. And again, he'll still get a lot of run with these starters to make an impact later on in games. It's a good problem to have, right? And for Trendon Watford, really quick, we obviously haven't really talked about him in the starting lineup. I don't really see that being a possibility at all. Has started some games for the Sixers this season, but I also think fits best in a bench role, someone that can come off the bench and initiate your offense a little bit, because the Sixers have been missing some of that. Somebody who can actually get this team into sets, into offenses, especially if one of Maxey or Edgecombe are not on the floor at any point in time. So those are really the 3 lineups that I see as potential options moving forward. So you let me know which of these lineups you like. This current starting unit we will call lineup 1: Maxey, VJ, Paul George, Dominic Barlow, and Joel Embiid. This lineup in which you bench Paul George for Kelly Oubre, we will call that lineup number 2. And then finally, this lineup, which we have not seen yet, where you bench Dominic Barlow, you rock with Paul George and Kelly Oubre, we'll call that lineup number 3. Pick one. Let me know lineup 1, 2, or 3 down below in the comment section. That'll do it for today's show. Sixers taking on the Wizards here tonight, a game that you absolutely have to win, coming off that disappointing loss to the Nuggets, and you are fully healthy. Can't wait to see it. If you want more Sixers news and rumors all season long, of course, don't forget to hit that sub button.